So this week in Fashion Design 2, we are studying fashion history, which is one of my favorite units to cover because I am such a fashion history nerd. I always say that my dream job would literally be to be like a costume designer on a TV show that's like a historical piece or period drama, and get to cultivate the costumes or to make them because they're literally just so awesome. So back whenever COVID happened, early like April, maybe it was like even March, whenever we were quarantined, I found myself with all this extra time on my hands that I really had not had for literally 2 years. And so I kind of really got back into sewing and working on projects that I had been wanting to work on forever. And so I started to work on a list of historical clothing pieces, historical costumes that I have been wanting to make, honestly, since I was in high school. And I kind of just went on this like rabbit trail of that, and it was the most fun I've had in a really long time. And I honestly learned so much about sewing and construction in that time frame. However, the thing with making historical costumes is that you really never have anywhere to wear them unless you were someone who does like historical reenactments, which honestly I think that would just be so cool. Back when I was in high school, I also wanted to do Civil War historical reenactments and go like, you know, stay the entire weekend at a reenactment and pretend that I was from the 1800s, but that never manifested itself into anything. So the thing about making historical costumes is you hardly ever have anywhere to wear them, and as a fashion design teacher, when I teach fashion history, I'm always wanting to kind of have garments to look at and to study really the intricacies of how they're made. And so I thought with making all of these different pieces, I could take them to class and we could study them, or we could look at the different types of corsets and stays and undergarments, etc. And I thought, well, might as well just wear the garments themselves to class while I teach about fashion history, because why not? After all, Miss Frizzle is my inspiration, so if we're going to take Miss Frizzle and put her into a teacher who teaches fashion, it's only fitting that we dress up for the occasion and wear historical costumes to teach our fashion history lessons. So that is what I'm doing this week. I have a different kind of decade or period of history that I'm going to be dressing every day this week, because we are studying kind of from like BC all the way up into like the 90s. And so next week we're also studying fashion history, so maybe next week I'll kind of do the 40s, 50s, and 60s, but this week is predominantly going to be historical fashion. So I have kind of a 1600s garment that I'm wearing tomorrow. Tuesday I think I'm going to wear 1930s. Wednesday, I think I'm going to probably wear in like an 1850s look. Thursday, I think I'm going to wear an 1890s, and I don't know what I'm going to do on Friday. I might pull out a vintage piece, or if I get a wild hair and decide to make another garment this week, that probably won't happen, but who knows. So the one sad thing is that I do have 2 major gaps in my kind of historical costume clothing collection, is that I don't really have a very good historical like 1700s piece, kind of Colonial Williamsburg 1740s, which I was hoping to make before I started this unit, but that did not happen. So that probably will not be making an appearance this year, but that's on the list for next year. And I also don't have a really good 1820s like Regency dress, which is one of my favorite eras of history, mainly because of Jane Austen and Pride and Prejudice. And I was really hoping to have one of those as well to wear this week, so I could really get a good mix of different things from literally every 100 years. So I've been playing around with the idea that I might try to whip up an 1820s just super simple white dress. So we'll see if that happens, but tomorrow is the 1600s, and so I'm really excited about that. It's kind of medieval, so I'll show you what I'm going to wear tomorrow, and then I'll take some videos every single day to show you what I wear to school. Okay, so this is the dress I'm wearing tomorrow. I definitely need to steam it, but it has these puff sleeves and then these under things. It has a lace up in the front. I'm going to wear this headband tomorrow because I didn't make a headpiece for this dress. Really, that's what they would have worn in this time period, and also they would have probably had some type of snood, and I really don't have that, which is snood is kind of like this netting that holds up your hair, and I used to have a ton of them, and I don't know where they are. So tomorrow we're going to kind of go costuming with our hair and just kind of do either a wavy hairstyle with our hair down, or I might do something crazy with braids. But anyways, it's kind of this robe type thing. It has a really long train, which is fun, and then this is the skirt that I wear underneath it. And I also have my shoes These are a super old pair of modern shoes, but they are very similar to what they would have worn back then. So yeah, that is tomorrow's look. So it is day number 1 of wearing historical costumes to school. So today is my 1500s, 1600s look. So very renaissance-y, and it's been a while since I have truly embraced this fashion. I am here for it, and I also got my hair all done up fairly historically, so I'm gonna see what my students think. So it is day 1 of wearing historical costumes to school, and I honestly am such a huge fan of this style. Do also have my matching mask to go with it, because just because we are in, mindset wise, the 14th century does not mean that COVID does not exist. And one of my students today actually asked me, did they wear masks back in that time period? And I said probably so, because in this time period they actually had like the bubonic plague and like all of these other plagues, and there is history of them wearing certain types of face coverings to prevent and keep themselves safe from that. But anyways, we have our dress. I will show you a full picture of it in a minute. The funny thing, and this honestly doesn't even surprise me, is that like literally none of my classes were fazed by it. No one once asked, why are you wearing that today? And I think it's because I honestly always wear something like crazy or out there fashion wise that it doesn't even face them anymore. But my fashion 2 kids, I guess, thought it was cool, who were actually studying fashion history today. So let me show you what the whole look looks like. So here it is. We've got our poofy sleeves with our embellishments. They have buttons there, although buttons are really not historically accurate for the 14th century. These sleeves are actually detachable, so they can come off and it can just be a vest. And it's worn over this gauzy top. It has a lace-up feature here, and then it goes over this skirt. I also have my lace-up shoes that I've had literally for 8 years. And my favorite thing about this dress is that it has a train, and it's so fun when you walk. I also really love the back of this dress. I feel like it's just so classic and pretty. And then I wrapped one of my big poofy headbands in extra fabric, and then we did our hair in like this braid. So we'll see if I can show it to you. This is what the hair looks like. I was trying to go as historically accurate as I could without having all the proper things for historical accuracy. So this is our 14th century, kind of early to mid 1500s look. Quite a fan of it. And tomorrow I think we're doing 1830s because we do not have a 1700s garment completed. So 1830s tomorrow it is. So we survived the day in our 15th century slash, it might be more 16th century costume. It was a little warm at times just because I'm always moving around my classroom, and my classroom is generally pretty cool, so thankfully it wasn't like over the top. And honestly, for the most part, this was very comfortable today. I feel like that's one thing historical costumers always share, is that historical garments are actually very comfortable because they really do hold like your body in, contrary to popular belief about like historical costuming not being comfortable because of stays and corsets, etc. So tomorrow will be interesting because I think I am going to wear my not very historically accurate 1700s outfit, just so I have 5 days worth of outfits, since I am missing like a Regency outfit and a very historical 1700s. And then that would mean Wednesday is 1830s, which does require me to wear my 1830s stays, which are not as restrictive as a corset or 1700 stays. They have a little bit more mobility, but it's still very like hugging to your body. So we shall see how that goes for day 2 and the rest of the week. So it is day number 2 of wearing historical costumes to school, and today we're going full 1700s colonial Revolutionary War, and I am so excited about it. Originally I was planning on not wearing a 1700s outfit just because this bodice and skirt are not the most historically accurate, and I was just being really annoying in regard to that, but we decided to go for it so we can get a full 5 days of different decades. So I've got my hat, my shawl thing, which I can't remember what it's called, and then we made this apron last night, so when I get to school I will show you the whole look. Alright, so it's the end of day 2. We have survived. My feet have partially survived after wearing my 1700s heels all day. They're fairly comfortable, and I'm not actually wearing stays with his bodice today, so we can still breathe, which is a good thing. But I will go ahead and show you what I wore to school today because it was quite fun, and I really loved yesterday's outfit, but I think that this day 2, might be my favorite with 1700. So here's what we are wearing today. So originally I was not planning on wearing this to school because I was being ridiculous about the fact that this bodice is actually not historically accurate, mainly because the back is a lace-up, and that is really not historically accurate for the 1700s. But I decided I needed to have 5 days of outfits, and I really wanted to wear 1700s, so I went ahead and put this together. I also whipped up this apron last night to kind of cover the front of my bodice so that it would kind of cover the places that are not very historically accurate, and I really love how the whole look turned out together. We've got our shawl on, which is very typical of the 1700s. Fun fact, this fabric I actually got in Colonial, Williamsburg the summer after I graduated from high school, and so I've been holding on to it to make a bodice out of it for a really long time, and I finally did that during quarantine. Obviously it's not perfect, but it's still pretty fun. Another fun fact, whenever we went to Colonial Williamsburg, surprisingly I didn't actually dress up because at the time I didn't have a 1700s outfit, and still to this day my mom is very upset that we did not dress up to go to Colonial Williamsburg. So one day we're gonna have to go back and all be decked out in our historical gear. So yes, we have this top, we have our apron, we have our hat. So I'm definitely your typical kind of middle-class woman. We have our skirt. This is also the same skirt as yesterday. We're just wearing it in a different way. And my favorite part are my 1700s shoes from American Duchess, who does historical reproductions of shoes, and they are absolutely fantastic with the gold buckle. And then we also have our stockings, which are historically accurate for American Duchess as well. So we're trying to be as accurate as possible. Also under this skirt we have a quilted petticoat, which will also be worn tomorrow for our 1830s look. So this is today's look, and I actually had so many meetings I had to go to today, so people were just seeing me all around campus. I was walking in the hall during passing period, and I probably scared some people, and some people it probably didn't faze them, or they just thought interesting and continued walking. So fully embracing the time traveler this week, and I'm here for it. And here's a closer look at these fabulous 1700s heels from American Duchess, along with their historical stockings. So it is day number 3 of wearing historical costumes to school. Today we are going with the 1830s, which I was very excited to wear because this is one of my favorite creations during quarantine, and I've also just really admired the 1830s for its very unique fashions. I will say today though, I understand why people had maids to help them get dressed in the morning, because getting dressed in all these layers by yourself is so hard, and trying to like fasten the back of a dress without having long enough arms to reach it. The back of my dress is still not buttoned, so hopefully I can get one of the teachers at school to help me finish buttoning it for the day. But yeah, we are all ready. We are actually wearing a historical stay today. The 1830s are not corsets, they're stays, which means they have some boning, but it's really just structure to kind of hold everything in a bit. So we shall see how we survive today wearing that. I will definitely have a good posture today, for one thing. Alright, so we just finished day number 3 now of wearing historical costumes to school, and today was the 1830s, which is a very unique time period of historical fashion because it really only lasted for honestly 10 years, the very distinct features of the 30s, and then it kind of dissipated into what we typically associate with the 1850s. But the 1830s is super unique. I absolutely adore their sleeves and just all of these little details that they have integrated into their clothes, and so I was very excited to wear this entire look. It was definitely probably one of my favorite projects from quarantine because it just is so, like, it just looks like it should, very historically accurate. And I actually am wearing stays today. I made a pair of 1830s stays during quarantine from a historical like reproduction pattern, and so I am wearing those today. And the great thing about 1830s stays is that they are pretty movable. They do have boning, and I'm not wearing the busk, which is this wooden piece in the front, so I still have a decent amount of mobility, but it's kind of almost felt nice because I felt like very like hugged in, and my posture has been great today, and breathing is pretty easy still. So I will go ahead and show you all what the entire look is like. All right, here's today's look. Such a fan of it. So the 1830s, the skirts really did not touch the floor. They kind of fell right at the ankle. So once you have your petticoat, it looks about like this, and you can see your shoes. These are some yellow lace-up shoes that I painted during quarantine to go for Regency time, so 1800s to 1820s, and they work very well for the 1830s as well. And I reused my stockings from my 1700s yesterday because they still work for the 1830s. So this is the entire look. One key distinct feature of the 1830s is the sleeves. They had these very distinct puffy sleeves that always poofed out right off the shoulder, and so these were made from an actual like 1830s pattern. I had to look it up online and try to draft it myself. And usually they would stuff these, they would have something that they tied actually to their inner stays that would kind of be an extra puff for the sleeves, so they would be even larger, but I don't have that, so mine are a decent size. And then one key feature as well for the 1830s is the belts that would often match their skirts, and I got this lovely what would this be called, like belt buckle off of Etsy from a fantastic historical costuming shop. And then this is fabric that I got from my great aunt. Actually, a lot of my quarantine projects were made from fabric I got from her. The 1830s used a lot of stripes, and they often did a lot of matching up of the stripes on the bodice, and so that's definitely what I wanted to play with. And then you can see the kind of drop shoulder detail and the puff sleeves out to being fitted. So these sleeves are all one piece. It's not a different sleeve sewn to the top to make it poofy, so that's what's very unique about drafting those sleeves. And then this is the back of the dress. I put buttons in this one, so trying to button myself into this morning was very difficult, I must say. And then the 1830s also had very distinct hairstyles. Oftentimes they would have like these hair pieces that they would put in on the sides that would be curls. They would have these crazy pieces that like stuck to the top, but obviously I don't have access to that, so I tried to do a mock version of it by just doing poofs. Most historical hair is parted down the middle, and then we just kind of did these random little buns and put a flower, so it still is like the general shape of the 1830s. I think the reason why I love the 1830s, one is there is a BBC miniseries called Wives and Daughters, and it's set in the 1830s. And the fashion of it is just really great, and I also love the storyline. And then if you've ever watched The Young Victoria with Emily Blunt, it is a fantastic period drama movie all about Queen Victoria, and the movie starts out in the 1830s, and the dresses are just absolutely stunning, and I absolutely love them. There are just so many unique features to them. Also for this today, I'm wearing the same petticoat I wore yesterday for the 1700s, and then I also have this extra layer in the back to kind of help my dress poof out. So there it is. So for my Wednesday look, which was the 1830s dress, I did wear historical undergarment. So this is my 1830s set of stays that I made from a historical reproduction pattern. All right, we are ready for day number 4 of dressing up for school, and today is the 1840s, which obviously comes directly after the 1830s, so there are a lot of things in common with the 1830s, such as the drop shoulders, but then there's a lot of things that are starting to move towards the 1850s, which is really our like Civil War era of hoop skirts and giant skirts and all of that. So we're wearing this lovely dress, and I will show you more later today. All right, so it is day 4. I was about to say day 5. It's got one day left of dressing in historical costumes for school. The funny thing is that the first day we literally covered all of the eras and decades of history that I'm wearing all these costumes from. That was done on Monday because the rest of the week we basically moved on to the 1900s, which have 2 different sections for our fashion history unit. So basically I really don't even need to be wearing historical costumes anymore. All I needed to do was wear them on Monday, but I wanted an excuse to wear all of these, so we're just embracing it and continuing to wear it even though it doesn't even apply to class anymore. And people probably don't even care anymore, but I wanted an excuse to wear them. So here we are today with the 1840s. I'm having a very Bronte moment, or Bronte moment from the 1840s. As you know, the Bronte sisters, who were famous authors of that time. And is it Emily Bronte who wrote Jane Eyre? I'm pretty sure. Anyways, I will go ahead and show you what I am wearing today. Today's outfit was definitely very comfortable because I was not wearing like a historical undergarment, and it's just very movable in regards to all of this. But I do love this style and I love the pattern that I made it from. So here is what the whole look is like. All right, here is our 1840s dress. Absolutely love it. I think this was actually the first historical piece I made during quarantine, and then I made my like Renaissance outfit, and then I made my 1830s one. I think that was the order I made it. But anyways, I made this from a pattern by Angelina's Costumery. I will link her down below, her Instagram and her YouTube, and I will also link all of the patterns for these projects that I used down below, because I used all historical reproduction patterns for most of them. Some of them I did a few of adaptions in case you want to make them for yourself, but I love this one that she created. It has this incredible ruching or like shearing on the bodice. It also has all of this fantastic piping, and then it still kind of has the dropped shoulders and these puffy little sleeves and this fantastic skirt. And I'm wearing a petticoat today. This is not a historical petticoat. It is definitely like polyester, but it's better than wearing a hoop skirt. And in the 1840s, they didn't really wear hoop skirts. They still had large bell-shaped skirts and dresses, but they were not wearing hoop skirts yet, really until the late 1850s, when we get more into like the Civil War time periods of the late 50s and the 60s. So it's made out of this checkered fabric, which is from my great aunt. Honestly, most of the dresses I wore this week, and a lot of my creations from quarantine were made from fabric from her, which is super fun. So anyways, this is today's look, and here's the back. It's all hook and eye, so I had to have my dad help me this morning, and then some of them came undone, so I literally have this dress like pinned together with sewing pins. And for my hair this morning, or today, because now it's the afternoon, we went with the side part again, which is very historically accurate. And we did just like some poofs on the side into like a braided bun in the back. So I'm definitely going for the more middle class, commoner. In regards to the 1840s, they definitely had more simpler hairstyles. You didn't get into the exaggerated fancy hairstyles of the 1840s unless you were really rich. So we're going for that. And we have some comfy lace up little boots that are not historical reproductions. They are like modern boots they're actually probably from like the 80s or the 90s, but super comfortable. And if I were a commoner in that time, I would be wearing lace up boots to walk around. So super fun. Tomorrow we are wearing the 1890s, so we're skipping about 30 years from the 1840s all the way to the 1890s, and we're going with less poofy skirts and this fabulous kind of contrasting suit for a woman who was probably like a reporter or an aspiring doctor or something like that. So yeah. So it is day number 5 and the last day of dressing up in historical clothes for school / for coming to work, and what more fitting than to dress up an outfit that is very much inspired and looks like one of my favorite literary heroines, Anne from Anne of Green Gables. Also, I didn't even take that into consideration until I got ready this morning, and then I was like, oh wow, I totally look like Anne because I have red hair, and this outfit is from the 1890s, which is basically when Lucy Montgomery wrote Anne of Green Gables. So I'll go ahead and show it to you. It's definitely the more toned down in a way outfit compared to everything else I've been wearing this week, because it is just so like straight, which is very common for the 1890s, but it is very fun and also very autumnal, which is also perfect. So here it is, this fantastic plaid that I literally can't get enough of. It is like all the perfect colors: teal, purple, orange, mustard yellow. It is the most perfect color combination and print, especially for this time of the year, and I absolutely adore this whole look. So this skirt is paneled. It's really like a gored skirt, so it's probably like a 6 gored skirt, which means it has multiple panels that are sewn together to fit at the waist. This also has a very high waistband, which is typical of the 18 and 90s, and then it does have a little bit of a train in the back, which is so fun and elegant. And then we're not even going to talk about the back closure, which is just really bad. But anyways, let's talk about the fun parts of this. So we have this fabulous jacket with these little puff sleeves, this awesome collar, and then whenever I was making this jacket, I realized it was like a little too small for me. Really it fits across the chest, but like the waist part doesn't really work, and I'm also not wearing a corset with this outfit. If I was wearing a corset, it probably would fit. So I just decided to add these kind of button, I don't even know what you would call them, but anyways, these pieces with matching buttons to it, which honestly give the front of this a very kind of fun look. And you could also take these off and just wear the jacket with the buttons, which would also be fun and still be very much in line with what they would have worn in the 1890s. So I had to whip those up this week to finish off this look. I also had to hem this skirt last night because it wasn't hemmed, and then we also made this bow because I have yet to make the mustard blouse that's supposed to go underneath this. But this jacket is just so fun. It definitely fits a little weird in the front, but once you have it on, it doesn't look horrible. And honestly, I'm just very happy with it because making jackets is not the easiest. And look at this, the collar's lined and the jacket's lined to match. So anyways, also a fun detail on this is this kind of, let's try and focus this, there we go, this fun brooch that I don't even know like what brand it's from, but I know I got it from one of my good friend's moms whenever I was probably like 12 or 13. She gave it to me when we were like going through her jewelry looking for things to wear for dress up, and I literally wore it with so many dress up outfits as I was growing up because it was just the perfect pin. I feel like Anne from Anne of Green Gables honestly wears something like this at some point, like with one of her teacher looks, and so this is very reminiscent of the 1890s, and the lady on this is also from the 1890s. And then with our hair today, definitely my favorite hairstyle, probably next to Monday's. Monday's was fun for the Renaissance, but I have always loved kind of the Gibson girl style, and one of my favorite parts of the second Anne of Green Gables movie is just her crazy like huge hairstyles, and so today that's what we were channeling. So this is the very fun look. Oh, and also cannot forget to mention these fabulous Victorian boots that are from American Duchess as well. I was so excited to finally be able to also wear these, wearing all of my American Duchess shoes, which is only 2 pairs this week. But if you are in need of some fantastic historical footwear, you have to check them out. I really love them. I wore them all day and they're pretty comfortable. I still need to kind of break them in a bit more, but honestly, I survived most of the day in them, so very happy about this. Also, I forgot to show you the back of this jacket. It has this fun like little tail, and then don't even look at the skirt, it's so bad, but the tail of the jacket is super fun. So anyways, we took a leap from yesterday being the 1840s to today being the 1890s. So what's that, like a 50-year leap? But I am here for it, and honestly could easily wear this on a normal day. It's just so fun and so me because I've always wanted to be Anne from Anne of Green Gables, and I've always admired her. So today was very fun, and we wrapped up our week of dressing up in historical clothing to come to work and to teach. So I'll have to give you kind of an overview of how that went and my takeaways. So I thought I would sit down and kind of do a recap of my week wearing historical costumes to school, because I feel like this video deserves a recap for me to just tell you guys what it was like kind of doing this little social experiment, because it was honestly pretty amazing and super fun. So we've got tea, because I feel like if you're talking about historical costumes, you have to be drinking tea. And also I'm wearing one of my favorite shirts from Inkwell Threads, introverted but willing to discuss period dramas, because my love for historical fashion really does come from watching way too many period dramas. I've literally watched any period drama that is famous, a lot that probably like aren't famous, from like old ones to new ones, all that stuff. And I feel like it's because of watching all these different shows set in so many different time periods that I have kind of developed a love for historical fashion. And my love for historical fashion really did extend way before I started watching historical dramas, period dramas, all that stuff, because anytime in like middle school and high school that we were learning about something in history, even early in elementary, because I literally grew up playing dress up in our backyard, playing one-room schoolhouse. And so anytime we were studying something in history, we would always dress in costume for that time period and do reenactments, do activities, go on field trips for them. And that's really where it all kind of started. And I feel like as an adult, I'm finally getting to live out all of my dreams for having these costumes that I always wanted to have when I was growing up. So anyways, wearing historical costumes to school. Obviously, I could have totally worn historical costumes for like a whole other week, and I was honestly thinking about the next week doing clothing and styles from like the 1900s. So really do like the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, because I love all of those time periods. But we went back to modern clothes the next week, which was last week. So it was 2 weeks ago that I dressed in historical costumes. So anyways, I had a lot of fun wearing them. Like I said, the main reason I did this is because, one, I never have anywhere to wear these costumes, especially now in like 2020, and it's not like I'm in high school and going on field trips and to reenactments and things like that. So this was a perfect excuse to wear them. Although after wearing them, I honestly feel like I'm just going to create days where I wear like historical costuming out and like go to the store and go shopping. I actually filmed a TikTok video about all of my dresses for the week, and it's like gotten a ton of views on my TikTok, and it's been so fun seeing everyone's reactions to it and seeing all these people who didn't know that a lot of school districts still teach fashion design. So it's been really cool to like spread the word about that, but also to connect with all the people who are like, can we just wear historical clothes every single day? And I'm like, yes, of course, let's make it a thing. So anyways, I really feel like, yes, I was doing this as a teacher, I was doing it for my students, but I was also kind of just doing it for myself. And it was a great social experiment, because there's nothing better to boast and like build your confidence in yourself and not caring what other people think about you, rather than wearing historical old-fashioned clothes to school / work for an entire week and having your coworkers see that and all of your students see it. I had like 3 meetings that week, so I had to like go onto Zoom dressed in like a hat from the 1700s, and no one really questioned it. I'm sure that they were like thinking like, what in the world is she wearing? But the people who knew me, it probably didn't faze them, because they know, one, that I teach fashion, and honestly, I wear kind of very crazy and out there clothing and styles to school anyways. So like a lot of my students, it didn't really even faze them that much, and a lot of my coworkers, it was like not that big of a deal. So yeah, I honestly have to say that wearing the clothes, it made me fall in love with historical fashions even more. So I feel like wearing the costumes, like I got to step into different characters every single day. Like one day I was Anne from Anne of Green Gables, another day I was, you know, Charlotte Bronte, and all of these different things. And it really put me into like the mindset of all of these characters and time periods that I love. When I was in high school, I was that person. Really, all throughout like middle school and high school, I was that person who really wanted to go back in time and live in another decade and time period. I always wanted to like live in the 1800s, and if time travel was a real thing, I would 100% go back in time and travel to other places. I wish that was a real thing. Like seriously, I would do it without like a second thought. So anyways, yeah, wearing all those costumes was absolutely amazing. It was so much fun just to wear them every day, and it really, like I said, like it boosts your confidence so much. Like I am definitely someone who believes that fashion is a way of expressing yourself, and I always dress every single day with this mindset of, you know, I'm dressing in these styles because I love them. It doesn't matter what other people think. And it's definitely a whole other thing when you put on historical costumes. So I'm definitely planning on doing this again next year. I'm very excited for it, and we'll definitely probably change it up and hopefully make some new garments by then. I'm hoping to have a Pride and Prejudice type dress, like an early 1820s dress. Definitely am going to have my 1850s. I know a lot of people were disappointed that they didn't see an 1850s with the hoop skirts and the Civil War time period. I do have one of those dresses. I just did not wear it, and I'm planning on making another one. So that is definitely one that I want to integrate, and so definitely looking forward to next year. And honestly, I just need excuses to wear these clothes out and about, either just because or to actually have events to wear them to. I should even like move to England where people like still go to historical like balls, because they're obsessed with like historical literature and things like that. So anyways, I feel like that is all of my thoughts on the week. I hope you guys were intrigued by this little social experiment and project that I did. It was definitely super fun. And I knew that I wanted to film it so that I could share it with you all and the people who have already seen it online. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw my posts for every single day. And if you follow me on TikTok, you definitely saw a video about it. It's just been really cool to connect with other people who love historical fashions like I do. I still say that my dream job is to be a costumer on a movie set or a TV show. That is like, it really is just one of my dreams. Or it would be so cool to be like a curator for like a costume collection at a museum, but I know the process to get there is literally insane. So, and all of, you know, the alternate universes and like my alternate versions of myself, that is what I would do. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this and following along on this crazy little adventure and journey. I hope you enjoyed seeing all of the costumes, and I look forward to dressing up again in the future, and maybe one day in the near future having some videos about historical costuming and fashion, and take you guys through a sewing process for one of those fun projects. So thank you guys so much for watching this. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw, and if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you stay up to date on any new videos or projects in the future, because you literally never know what you're going to get from me. And I will talk to everyone later. Bye.